Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of Sam Explains the World. I'm your host, Samantha Bremenkamp, and on today's episode, I'm going to share with you what it means to be a media pro. Whether you have your own podcast, you want to be a reporter, a cameraman, just making really cool videos, like 360 tours of houses, a little of everything just to whet the appetite and help you understand what it takes, what you need to invest in, and the skills you might need in order to be successful. So sit back, relax, and learn a thing or two. Now, of course, there are lots of different camps for people, whether you're into Sony cameras or Canon, or I'm a Nikon girl myself, hence the Nikon. I love learning new media skills. So I'm super into 360 things for fun, creative projects, to creating super awesome, diverse social media campaigns with catchy, strange videos that are sure to please the viewers. Different kinds, like the Insta360 camera, super awesome. The Ricoh Theta, it's the one I learned on. Of course, this is a way newer model, which with new features and everything. So I'm super pumped to share that with you guys. But some things that you might not think of, if you're going to be recording in a space that you can't put a tripod down or you need to get a close-up, it's really awesome to have like a gooseneck type thing that can just easily screw onto the lip of a table or a counter or an island or whatever, and then it can hold your camera and you can angle it however you need to if you're doing a close-up of your hands, showing magic tricks, or how to best slice an onion, or whatever it is that you're going to be making content for. I have found that to be really useful. I have things for podcasting as well, and the original crane arm that I have for that is made out of metal, which makes a lot of sound if you bump the table. So of course, that's not ideal if you're trying to get really good audio, or if you want the camera to be still. This is stronger and it doesn't make any sounds. So I've upgraded to this. You can get these for fairly cheap. This was under $20, and it's really well made and sturdy, and I've had no issues with it. Outside of, if you're trying to do a close-up on a surface that doesn't have a lip, you can't grab onto anything. Unless it's like you have a chair that has a back to it and a thick enough rim of the chair that you can easily clasp that around. You have to get creative, but as a media pro, you already are in that mindset. When using a 360 camera, regardless of what kind, it could be the awesome Ricoh Theta or the Insta360, you're going to need a type of selfie stick / monopod that becomes invisible when you're recording. So you need to know what ones actually work with it and what ones might say they work with it, but after you've taken a video, always do a bunch of test videos, by the way, so you don't have your heart broken when you're trying to record the most epic moment of your life for the first time recording and you don't get it and it's too late to ever recreate that. And make sure you have a really strong bottom claw tripod. If you're going anywhere like the beach or a park or a city square, a street, whatever, you want it to be sturdy enough that you don't need to worry about a little bit of wind or something that might move it. You want it to be sturdy enough. Obviously, if somebody ran into this, regardless of how strong the bottom part is, it'll get knocked over and you can't do anything about it. But there are different types. Ones like this, you could absolutely adapt it and have it hold on to things. It's like an octopus, basically, three-legged octopus. But I don't use it for my 360 stuff because it wouldn't be invisible. I do use it for utilizing something like this, which when you put your phone into it and turn it on, your app's connected, it follows your movements. So if I'm doing a how-to tutorial utilizing a bigger space than just this, I like to have this because it's like you have your own cameraman, which is super awesome and really convenient. It's also really fun to use with pets. Don't ask me how I know that, but if you have a silly puppy or cat or bunny or horse or whatever, and you want it recording whatever goofy thing they're doing. This is pretty sweet because it follows their movements. Of course, if you have a puppy who's hyperactive, you might overwhelm it because, you know, puppy energy is unmatched. An important thing to know when you're using a camera like this 360, it has a dual lens, just like the Ricoh Theta, which I'm afraid to take off because I just put that on. It has two lenses, almost like two fisheye lenses, which with the technology, when combined, create the immersive 360 feel of getting every angle. This one has it also. It's just a little smaller, but it covers the same. And super smart, got the extra hat to protect it because you do not want it to fall and crack because then that makes it useless and the whole thing gets thrown out basically. Not really, but you'll always have that crack in it, and unless you send it in for repair, your videos won't come out that great. I highly recommend for those that like to do immersive videos where you're on the street, in a store, anywhere but a nice enclosed, great acoustic level place, you're going to want to have microphones that are wireless, that easily just clip, don't take much charging, and can just hook up right to your phone. Or you can get one that hooks up to your camera if you're going to go in that direction. But I always find for doing things on the street, on location, when you're trying to capture a lot and you're walking across like a farm or something, you're not going to want to put a tripod down because there's cow patties everywhere or horse patties or whatever. So you're going to be carrying everything, having your phone on, the gimbal perhaps, and you want the audio to match up perfectly. So if that's attached to the phone, you're wearing the microphone, the other person or cow is wearing the other microphone, it is a lot less work for you later on if you're doing post editing. Be aware, of course, that there's different types of chargers. You're going to want all of them. You're going to want to keep extra of everything, including batteries, including the teeny tiny little discs that go into the camera, just in case. Anything can happen at any time, but it's really good to have backup of everything. So if you're like, oh no, this broke, or oh no, this plug died, because that happens, right? You don't have to just call it a day and say, well, I made it all the way to the top of this mountain. I guess I'm not recording anything. With backups, you don't have to be afraid and worry about that stuff. I'm really excited to try out this gimbal. You'll see that with the phone, to get really flawless, really, really nice videos of like a house tour, a museum tour, a school tour, and it looks basically like you have a little drone flying through because it's so smooth and it totally takes away jerky movements of being a human being and makes it smooth like butter. But don't put butter anywhere near any of this stuff, okay? So, and of course, even if you have batteries that are charged, even if you charge it the night before or the day of, I still think it's great to bring the adapter charger that can plug into a wall. You never know. Maybe something weird happened and that plug didn't work that you had to plug into, so you thought you were charging the batteries and you get on site and they're just not working. Again, you're not like, well, this whole day is kicked. You still at least have the shot of charging batteries. If the location, of course, has places for you to plug in and charge. It's a lot of fun. Don't be overwhelmed. I didn't just get all this stuff at once. I've learned it little by little over time and collected it. So I don't want you to feel like, oh God, I can't do this, or I don't want to do this. Take a deep breath. We're just learning something new, and I think you're going to get something pretty cool out of it. Now I shall present to you Pivo, my cameraman, or camera Sam, if you will. The closest I can get to cloning myself as a camera woman. It's pretty sweet. Tiny, fits on a little tabletop tripod, could sit by itself on a surface if you want, and tracks your movements. With the Fun app, you can do a lot of different things. You can do a clone trail, multiplier, endless possibilities. And as they keep advancing, they keep adding things, which is super great. But for under $100, it's super worth it if you can't afford a cameraman and like to make videos, either because you're a teacher or an instructor and a professor, and you're in a space in which you're going to move around to do things. Maybe it's a cooking class. Maybe you have a television show once a week on Fridays at 9 BCTV. And you move around your space a lot because you're cooking, you're putting things in the oven, you're washing your hands, you're demonstrating to others to do these things. And you don't have to worry about needing to find a friend, relative, or hire someone to do this. You now have this teeny tiny little AI robot that's tracking your movement. Some other benefits to this, it's really fun if you have pets. You can put it right on the ground with them or outside, and it will track their movement. Rambunctious puppy makes for some really lively and super cute footage. I hope I'm not making you dizzy. I'm just trying to show and demonstrate the different things you can do. Did that go off? No, you're right. Keep on your toes. Do you need me to get something from the dishwasher? Dirty dishes? Not a problem. With the Pivo, it goes where you go, and it's pretty sweet. And has a lot of other things you can do too, but for someone who is the entire crew, cast, producer, director, Pivo is invaluable. And a big shout out to my friend MSG, who's been in the film industry forever and is super fly and awesome, and recommended this to me when he realized I was doing all of this for a TV show that I produced myself as a staff of one. Marmalade, my dog, refused to be my cameraman. I get it, she's busy, but this now affords me the ability to do things like move around without having to constantly move my camera or tripod. If you're an artist trying to share what you do through social media, through videos, you have a vlog, you have a YouTube channel, and your tripod's too bulky in your art studio, or you get really messy because you work with clay or paint or whatever, you don't have to worry about messing up your camera, your phone, whatever's recording you, because you have to constantly move it, touch it, or trip over it. This, super small, very agile, and can follow you without you having to move it at all. Unless you go outside of the room, then you need a drone. But for now, if you're staying in the space, this is a huge help. Pivo, you know what you're doing. No, I'm not sponsored by them yet, but I look forward to hearing from them. Smile. If you have any interest in photography, I'm going to give you a bare bones basic lesson on some things to consider, some terminology, and, you know, give you an overview. So I am a Nikon girl. It's just those are the cameras that I learned on, and I never left. You might be a Canon family or Sony or whatever. Totally cool. So, but what I am with Nikon is going to dictate what I am able to show you and talk to you about. A lot of things are fairly similar on Canons and stuff, but it's like a different just enough so you have to be one camera or the other. This heavy, beautiful body is the Nikon D750. I change out the lens depending on what I'm doing, and I add accessories also depending on it. So I have added a speed light to help brighten up inside shots as I go around as a media pro, taking photos of people's houses. Some have really great lighting and some don't. Sometimes during the scheduling, I might not get the morning light that I want, and I have to recreate it before it goes to editing. And that is how this comes into play. This is adjustable. It's easy to take on and off, but it's secure that I'm not afraid it's going to go flying off of it. And this lens is a 10 to 20 millimeter or 10 to 24 millimeter. This is Tamron. My other lenses are mostly Nikkor, but this is very specific to real estate photography inside, and making sure that you're able to get exactly what's being asked and that everything is, you're taking like the same shot over and over again. It just happens to be different houses without having to change too much of it. One thing you saw me do in the beginning, took the lens off. It's really important to remember to do that. Have I ever gone shooting or trying to take a video and didn't take the lens off? You betcha. I learned best by messing up first. No, but it happens. It happens to professionals. It's just, one of those many things. Um, I would not start with a heavy body like this. When heavy, I mean like there's lots of details and you kind of need to know what you're doing. The first one that I learned on was the Nikon D3400, which is a lighter body. It came with a lens kit, so it came with 3 different lenses. One was telephoto, so it could go farther for like up close and personal shots of birds, or if you're looking at a grand estate, because I learned how to use cameras when I was in London, living there and going on these different tours of estates and stuff, and figuring out how to use a manual camera as opposed to just a point and shoot. Yes, these have the auto button too, but you get such better photos if you do it manually and you figure out how to do it. So trial and error for me is how I did it. And then as I got into different aspects like nature photography, I had to get a bigger lens. You want to make sure if you're going to get a big lens, a big nature lens, that it's light weight for you, or that you're strong enough or have the right strong type of tripod or monopod. I did not realize it was recommended to me by a gentleman who's way bigger than me to get this giant lens because it's, great for nature photography, owls and such. And I got it and I went into the field with it, and it was so heavy. It was too heavy for me to just be able to hold up, point, and shoot. I had to find things to lean on. I got fatigued really fast because it was just too heavy for me. So it's really important to know what you're capable of and to realize that if it's too heavy, it's not for you, or what you're able to do to overcompensate. Like with a monopod, which if you don't know what that is, it's like a selfie stick, but stronger and bigger, and it goes to the ground. And it can take the weight of a giant nature photography lens. Um, and it's really great if you're able to go into a camera place and physically try lifting cameras, seeing how heavy they are. If you're able to lift it and you're like, oh, this is so easy, take a moment to consider how long you're going to be standing holding a camera. If you're getting a recording of an owl and you can't move because you'll lose the video or the shot, you need to be able to hold this up for a very long time. Unless you have a tripod or a monopod. But sometimes you might be running quickly because you have your kit in the car and you're seeing this incredible moonrise coming out of the ocean that you didn't expect because you were coming home from work, and you're going to pull over and try to capture it. It's good to have these things already so you're not like, oh, I'm going to miss the shot because I'm not strong enough to hold this up or keep it steady. If you're doing any kind of moon photography, you have to have a really good tripod that can withstand wind or whatever. You can't just hold it and be like, I don't shake, because we're human beings. You're going to absolutely shake holding your camera up to the moon, trying to capture the moon. Don't be silly. Just do it the right way. So this is super cool because it has a wheel and it has my 2 favorite things are U1 and U2. Not just the band, you're a great band. What's up, Bono? But U1 and U2 are for user settings. And so if you know that you're going to shoot a wedding or you're going to go shoot as a media pro for real estate photography, which is what I'm doing, you have the 2 settings that you use all of the time to get a photo with flash and a photo of ambient light. If you already have the 2 set in, all you have to do is switch back and forth and turn your speed light on and off, and not have to worry about resetting it and figuring it out every single time. And there's different things too, like you have different letters that will focus on different things. The M is for manual. You're going to set it up however you want for that specific shoot. Um, there's A, which focuses on the aperture, how much light you're letting in. There's S for shutter speed. If you want to be a sports photographer, you're going to focus on that because they're going to capture really fast movement, or a nature photographer and you're trying to capture something fast moving like tiny birds or things which are faster than you can ever imagine when trying to capture it with a real camera. And then you have P, which is going to focus on a point that you've put it on. Let's say you see a seal on a rock in the ocean and you want it to just stay on that. The water's moving around it. There might be clouds moving or whatever, but you want the focal point to stay exactly where you've put it on the seal in that case. Um, and then of course, this is a cool camera because it has different effects you can do. You could do low key where it makes everything dark, high key where it just lets in so much light, but does a really cool silhouette. And there's a couple other silly ones that are like dollhouse, it makes everything miniature looking, or cartoon, so it takes the real image, but it makes it look like it's drawn. And those are cool if you're doing like weird artsy stuff or just to change it up. And the other one I have is for scene, and scene can change because it could be a landscape, it could be a nightscape. You learn more and more as you do it. I know this sounds overwhelming, but it's not. And it's fun to go out, and photography for me and videography are my best ways of doing meditation outside of gardening, where you're focused, you're in the moment, nothing else matters. So this is a great hobby to get into and to use, even if it's just for fun, or to try to make a side hustle out of it, or to make it your profession. You become a professional media pro. You get flown all over the world to take really awesome and epic footage of whatever. But anything can happen if you try, and as long as you don't give up. But I love my Nikon. I always have. I get like prettier ones than the one that it comes with. The one that comes with just says Nikon, and it's like a thinner strap, and that's cool. But I like these because they have pockets in them. I can keep extra batteries, an ID, and money if I'm just want to go, or keys. I just want to go lightweight and not bring my purse with me or my jacket or whatever. And you can change out depending on style because it's a reflection on you. But that's a really, really quick, very basic heads up for having a real camera. There's nothing wrong with using point and shoots if you don't care about photography, and if you know, finances don't allow it or what have you. Phones take ridiculously epic video and photos these days. Growing up, they didn't do that at all for me. I just aged myself, but you could totally learn really sweet stuff on this if you just follow some people on different social media or YouTube. They share with you really incredible tricks and tips that some of them just seem so silly, but the way they end up getting a shot or a montage or a video looks so professional and artistic that you're surprised that it came from a phone. Uh, but for me, there's nothing like holding a real camera. I do love my phone. I use it a lot, but you know. Let's talk about the difference between certain cool cameras. You have GoPro, which in my opinion was like the original action adventure camera. If you want to record yourself deep diving or surfing, mountain biking, anything that requires a steadiness built in and a full frame with excellent resolution. It shoots in 4K. You can adjust it. It can get just photos, which come out really nicely. I always enjoy bringing this because it's waterproof and weatherproof with me when I go into the ocean, whether I'm surfing or just bobbing up and down like a seal in the water, I end up getting really stunning footage of the sky and the beach, and it can adjust really well if you set it up correctly, to there being a bright sun. It's also really fun to put on, I'll attach it to my bike if I'm going into like a new place and want to share with people, or you're going to attach it to your helmet, yourself, your dog, whatever. This is great. And you don't really need to worry about most of it because it's made as a heavy hitter to endure when you're hitting bumps and things, like you're wiping out a wave, or you are hitting every bump on your bike or whatever it is. The stabilization is unmatched, which is great. GoPro always comes out with a new one every year. A little tip for that: always make sure you have a cover on it when you're not using it. And it comes with a ton of accessories. There's a lot more on the market that, whether they're made by GoPro or not, that can fit with it. But just understand that not everything is as sturdy as you would want it to be. And you do run a risk of losing this regardless of how well prepared you are. It's tiny. If it falls to the bottom of the ocean, it's really deep where you are, you're probably never getting it back. Really important, of course, always have spare batteries. This is a great charging case. This is a GoPro charging case. It charges 2 at a time. Always have backup on backup on backup of batteries. This takes a mini SD disc. If you don't know what that means, let me try to show you without having to take it out of its case. Okay, that's the charging side. I'm gonna have to take it out of the case. That's fine. You can use either a C or the mini HDMI cable that you might be used to. But it's cool that it has multiple selections, and especially if you want to more quickly than using Wi-Fi to get the snaps or the video that you just uploaded, or that you just captured, I mean. Okay. I'm putting the cap right back on it. I had to take it off in order to take the case off that comes with it. But I immediately put it back on. I also use little screen protectors for everything, including this, because you would not believe how many times you're going to end up dropping something tiny like a camera. Come with me. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Sam Swain's World. I'm your host, Samantha Bremenkamp, and we covered a bunch of different things for media pros, whether you want to be a vlogger or a photographer, videographer, or just a creative content producer. I explained some things that can help you depending on what you're doing. You're going into nature, you're just taking videos of your pet, which no shame in that, or you're going on location to help local businesses give a shout out to the cool things they do. Whatever it is that you're going to be doing, I feel like you couldn't go wrong with any of this that I have used, tried and true, especially for the unboxing things, like a gimbal, which is really great when you are a media pro doing house tours. It gives you flawless coverage. It makes it look like there's a little drone flying through a house when really it's just you, the magical photographer elf, just dancing through like it's nothing. Or you're an action adventure person and you're gonna get like a GoPro, put it on your mountain bike, go shred it up a mountain. Or a surfer, you're gonna do the same thing. Or you're just a creative who likes to make unusual, different, and fun videos and you're always learning. Whatever the reason, don't be discouraged. Just try it out. And there are some places that have camera equipment that you could rent or try before you buy, just to see if it weighs an amount that's okay for you. It's not going to be too heavy. It's not going to be too light, depending on, like, if you're going out into the wilderness and there's really strong wind, you want to have something that's strong enough to withstand some wind, or you need something small enough that you can just pop into your pocket when you're done with it, or you need a kit because you want to make this your profession. I believe in you. Give yourself a chance, try out a bunch of different things, and see what sticks. And there's no shame in learning something new and then deciding that that's not for you. You should be learning as much as possible about everything because you have no idea what you're into until you've tried it all. Looking forward to seeing you next Friday, 9 p.m., BCTV on Sam Explains the World with your host, Samantha Bremenkamp.